The 10-minute journey to you, exercise 2.2, daily comparisons and pressures. In this exercise, you will identify moments when you compare yourself to others, compare yourself to a previous version of yourself, or feel the pressure to be a more ideal version of yourself. Please begin this process with a deep breath and the idea that you will lead with grace and curiosity. This exercise is intended to create awareness of your perceptions and not to make you or others feel bad or judged. Working through these exercises will help identify inherited paths, which some may align and others may not. Simply start with what first arises by writing what comes to mind in the designated space within your workbook. When do you feel pressure to be a more ideal version of you or a previous version of yourself? Be it that someone younger, someone who is doing a certain activity. And when do you compare yourself to others? Please feel free to pause and resume if you begin coming up with ideas in writing, as I will continue on with additional considerations to help the brainstorming process. Walk yourself through a day in your head. Notice when you naturally compare yourself to others. When you follow someone else's journey rather than staying aligned with your own. When you feel the need to do or be something, or don't feel like enough. Maybe it's scrolling through social media. Do you catch yourself comparing your appearance or progress in activities or life to before and after photos, influencers' lifestyles, thinking you're not enough, or perhaps trying to measure up, so you feel the pressure to have surgery, take medications or drugs, overextend yourself working out, or just feel guilty because you're not doing something, but you want to? Or is it at work or school, where you compare what others have, be it their success, their titles, lifestyle, perceived happiness, and wish your own life reflected this? So you feel the pressure to put more time into something you are not sure you actually enjoy? Maybe it's doubting yourself and your own path when someone talks with passion about theirs, making you question whether you're doing enough or feeling disconnected from your own life or work. So instead of continuing on your path, you search tirelessly for or dwell on what it should be or could be through external means. Maybe you envy others' relationships, either with their significant others, family members, or friends, possibly making you frustrated more easily when things don't seem perfect, or you feel pressure not to make a big deal about things that should be addressed. Finally, are you pressuring for a timeline for a specific relationship or a career milestone? Now you've taken time to brainstorm your own comparisons and pressures. Go ahead and consider how they serve you. Take a moment to reflect on how they make you truly feel about yourself. Pause to write. How do these comparisons contribute to being at peace with yourself? Are they serving you in the pursuit of your own path? Do they pull you away from the present moment or life that is actually in front of you? Consider how this affects your self-worth. Are these comparisons and pressures creating value? Are they encouraging through a place of shame or love? Go ahead and take a moment to pause and write. Do you think that maybe some of the pressures are warranted? For example, many think pressure is needed to perform. If so, are you creating an actionable space without judgment, a plan that moves through grace, or a plan that moves through anxiety and negative self-talk in regards to that pressure? Pause and write. If you provided a reason above, where you do think your pressure is warranted. Now reflect on and answer if you truly believe that, and if so, why. There is a difference between a space for grace and a practice of mastery, and a pressure to push and show up for something that you struggle to connect with. Really think about that pressure. Does it seem to fit in one of those areas more than the other? Pause to write. Now looking back at all that you wrote, your pressures, your comparisons, and without self-judgment, so without beating yourself up, what insights does this provide? You're just looking for an understanding of how you flow into life at the current moment. Pause to write. Now, as we step back and view the larger picture, it becomes clearer why we often find ourselves trapped in cycles of pressures through comparisons and self-doubt. For many good reasons, from a very young age, we're taught that these are the rules to follow, both implicitly and explicitly. These rules are often presented as essential to being a good child, person, peer, citizen, parent, and so on, with the idea that adhering to them will lead to success, validation, and acceptance. We are conditioned to believe that by following the rules, we become a better than a previous or a different version of ourselves. Sometimes what may actually be the truest version of ourselves that didn't follow those same rules. So as we grow, these rules expand, evolve into broader social norms and expectations. The lens through which we view our lives widens, taking into account not just how we behave, look, and act with others, but also how institutions are structured. As we navigate this, we begin to measure our self-worth, and sadly, others' self-worth as well, by how closely we align with these external benchmarks, these rules that are often gone unchecked. Moving on through the 10-minute Journey to You workbook, you may find that some of them still align and still feel right and are coming from a place of grace, curiosity, and self-consideration. So don't look so negatively on what you may have found, but also just see it for what it is.